hopes of finding a way to contact Patty. Abilities.
那
Eventually,
你们还有
Scooter
这东
Braun
西
did
写
get
骚扰，就
through,
不用
despite having already
让
decided
你
that she
们
wanted
对不
nothing
起
to do
出
with
来。
No strings attached, just introducing a talented kid to some interesting people. And she was still hesitant, but she decided to tell her son about the opportunity anyway. She said, I looked at my just barely a teenager son. I doubted that he could understand the magnitude of what I would be asking for. I doubted that he understood the sacrifices it would require. I doubted that he understood that this wasn't a joke or to take lightly, like picking up a new hobby or deciding which pair of soccer cleats to buy. I closed my eyes, almost hoping that he wouldn't be interested until we could call it a day. But Justin didn't say no. His eyes lit up. He asked, when do we get to go? For Justin, it was one of his first airplanes. The only times he ever left Stratford. In Atlanta, Justin stayed in Scooter Braun's penthouse. He recorded demo tracks in a studio and got to have a real glimpse at what life in the music industry might be like. The story goes that when Justin and Scooter met face to face, their connection was instant. They got along easily. Justin was excited. But Patty would later say that she wasn't fully convinced that having a radio was like the contract signed. But Scooter didn't go away. He maintained a constant line of contact, and a few months later, in February 2008, Justin met with David as part of their final decision on who he might find. Justin Timberlake made some really high bids to work with Bieber. Eventually, he dropped his negotiations, but learns that it might be confusing for two people. But with such accomplished and trusted big names in the industry wanting to sign their son, it seems in 2008, former star himself succeeded a 13-year-old Justin Bieber to a new company called LPMG as part of a joint venture. Maybe one of the Justin Bieber LA Reid ended up signing Justin Bieber. Wow, things could really take off. Shortly after that, his mother moved into Atlanta so he could work on music full time, and now being officially in the major label system. His debut single One Time at the start of 2000, but nothing more. R&B and pop rock written by veteran writer Trisha Stewart. They've got first song ended up being at number 17 on the Billboard 100 US and number 12. Later that year, on October 6th, he dropped One Less another pop art. That song started to Justin Bieber, Born Gone. And then when they sent him out on the typical yard, circuit, believe went better than he could have ever imagined. Scooter might have discovered Justin. He wasn't alone. Justin's online campaign was already a powerful force on a level that the music industry hadn't really seen. In a lot of ways, he kind of created the victory. Still the method for most entertainers today. His early fans, they were the first stans. These kids were obsessed. In fact, the story goes that it was thanks to the engagement from his followers that Justin was able to shows together. He went on Ellen DeGeneres for the first time in the summer of 2009. The caption read, Ellen's Twitter followers convinced her to invite a brand new musician to the show, Justin Bieber. Check out this superstar's first interview. Within that first year, he put out 2 more singles, Love Me and Favorite Girl. Those also did well enough that he ended up becoming the first artist to ever have a top 40 of the Hot 100. Invited to sing 2010 White House president.
If that's not enough, you can go over to the music stage and just have some fun with Justin Bieber.
All of this was a 40-minute long 6-track EP, My World. It was short, but the talent was undeniable. My World would be certified platinum in under 50 days, and at the age of 15, Justin was charting above Taylor Swift, Carrie Underwood, and Michael Jackson. The Sun would write, Bieber's voice has this undeniable soul quality to it, and he has great control as well. He moves up and down the scales effortlessly. And so in early 2010, Justin Bieber was on the verge of becoming the most popular artist in the world. He was about to turn 16, but they were already getting ready to release his debut album, the era-defining My World 2.0, that would make him the youngest solo male artist to top the Billboard charts in 50 years. But fame isn't free. Someone will always have to pay the price of fame. Already, even before the peak of his popularity had come, even before he was old enough to drive, Justin Bieber was about to find out just how heavy the burden of his incredible success could be. Justin was he always had been. Back on the streets of Stratford, Ontario, in front of his little theater in hometown, you can even hear a lady say, "This kid should be famous," in the background videos. And suddenly, he was, because he and his team essentially weaponized his appeal to at it all. Adults thought he was charming, really charismatic for a young child at an age when most teenagers would be covered in acne. Like 2010, it wouldn't have been but looking back now, it's almost painfully obvious that even in the early years, the fame almost immediately brought a level of struggle to his life. He did a interview many years later in 2021 where he talks about how exactly he felt about the attention. He tells a story about a trip he took back to Toronto not long after he signed his first recording contract. He was still a kid, but already exhausted by what success was asking of him. He says, "I was working so hard. It got really sad. I missed my friends and I missed my normal life. So me and my friend hid my passport. The record label was freaking out, saying, you have to do the Today Show this week and you can't find your passport. And it takes a certain amount of time to get a new one. But I was just going to do anything to be able to be normal at that time. He had the passport, but then he ended up confessing that he had the passport. Everyone was concerned and they asked him if he was okay, but then he went straight back into the machine. He did the Today Show like he was supposed to. I had this dream to become the biggest superstar in the world," Bieber says now, but he was just beginning to find out how, or what it might cost. At the same time, the reactions from his fans intensified quicker than ever before. In one video, Bieber is seen attempting to leave a concert venue as hundreds of fans surround him, shouting loud in the area. Bieber fever became this crazy once-in-a-generation phenomenon. It wasn't just about the music, though. It was hysteria. Every moment, something bigger than pop. It was proud to shut down entire city blocks just to catch a glimpse of Bieber. At 15 years old, he wasn't famous. He was a global obsession. One quote talks about Bieber's mindset. He said, "The harder you work, the more successful you can be. This is just the beginning for me." The reporter asked how he defined success, and he said, "I grew up with not a lot of money. We never owned a house. I want to buy my mom a house." It's not a surprise that facts started to go even in the early days, even when everything was still back. Sure, Justin was good at it, loved it, but he was also a kid that was working literally all the time. In 2011, when he was still 16 years old, less than a year after Baby had come out, said to Vanity Fair, "It's really hard to balance myself. A regular kid, if he gets the flu, he can just go home. But I can't do that. Everything is important, and I know that I have to give up a lot of my stuff." That's something that kind of sounds like the words of a young kid, big ego. Always racing. This kind of nuts. That's musicians probably always do. Yeah, on the surface, it sounds kind of cool for a hey, but in reality, what he was thinking about was a lot more. Later in that same interview, you reveal exactly what was on his mind so much. I think there are people that are waiting for the time I make a mistake and they're going to jump on it. They're going to be haters. You know I'm not going to make a life-changing bad decision, as some people have, because I've seen it happen too many times. It could be my own worst enemy, but I don't want to mess this up. And all of this was around late 2009, a time when Justin Bieber couldn't have possibly known that he was basically better and for worse. When they dropped Baby, Justin became the rising full-blown global superstar with a household name. The song "Baby" wasn't hugely different to anything. Got good reviews. Critics thought it had a great chorus and a nice urban mainstream crossover with a feature. It was nothing truly out of the ordinary versus what she had done. But within a few weeks, the song's release, right around the time he turned 16, became the second most streamed artist worldwide, behind only Lady Gaga. The song's shelf life would be crazy. After 6 months, the music video most viewed video in YouTube history, a record it would hold for almost 3 years. To say the least, Scooter Braun's plan to make Justin a star had worked well. Maybe, looking back now and seeing where all of this would lead, the plan had worked a little bit too well. At the same time, it also became the most disliked video on the entire platform of Justice. 12 million views down. Justin's first full-length project, Rival, was a massive success. It made him the youngest male artist to debut at #1 on the Billboard charts since Stevie Wonder in 1960. The album was actually pretty good. The mixture of mainstream teen radio-friendly energy complements Justin's young voice well, and the contents of the songs are definitely aimed at younger people, but they did that without sacrificing the quality. Songs like "Runaway Love" still hold up today. Before long, the attention around Justin became a frantic spectacle, to the point of his actual music being glossed over as an afterthought compared to the absurd level of obsession around everything he was doing. Basically, the media made a spectacle out of him before he even had the chance to make the mistakes he was talking about to make. Because many of the radio or TV personalities who interviewed Justin on his rise to fame, they acted in ways that when you look back at it were inappropriate, basic, and sometimes even downright predatory.
Yeah, can you give me a sex podcast? I mean, like, I really don't want to have that conversation with my mother. Yeah. Like, I kind of had it with my father. Like, leave a little bit. So when are you giving? I feel uncomfortable right now. Oh, why do you want to know sex stuff from a 15-year-old boy? That's pretty weird. Talk about the album.
Attention. This time. More than just something that was time on the clock.
You rather have to be naked on stage during one full song, or drink a cup of blended worms.
Wasn't this during 2012? This again then touches back to the head of the school. That wasn't.
Greetings, Megan. Oh, amazing. How old are you?
Thank you.
How old are you? Wow, what's your on? What music do you listen to? Thank you for looking at this. All that's beautiful, buddy. All right.
It's disturbing to realize that it's
Took the opportunity in the window
Is there anything that never gets to again? And I don't know. I want a fever, and I want a fever rap. Want it all. It is cool.
Travel, constant pressure to perform. Sometimes it was just internet pancake responding.
Bieber. I hate Justin Bieber. I H-A-T-E, Justin Bieber.
But over time, Mexico, it wasn't because of that. Because of who he was. 15-year-old boy in the center. I think that he was treated unfairly. People there launched a viral campaign, and obviously a cool joke, but it picked up. That wasn't just one point.
The boobs are from the guys, and the singles are from the girls.
This is a teenager enduring public. Justin, one thing was for sure, but God, it was now the biggest world ever done. Still, the scale of Bieber's next first official touring first, it was a new artist with a giant hit song, Heart. Settled it up. No,
Rhyme strange.
That's really our
东西南北。
He's giving it everything he's got. But doing 86 shows for any vocalist is a lot to ask.
this was and some things. At the same time, there was still just a kid, but the industry had already decided he was going to be a machine. At this point, Justin was paparazzi with podcast report. Without realizing at all just how poignant.
It sounds like the scared voice of a teenager. Hard hardly the voice of a mega pop star.
이거 지금 지금 뭐 빨리 미치. 있어.
Making a minute or slowing down. You have to remember that Justin Bieber was double. It become a massively profitable match. That's a pretty hard point. This case was executive. That spoke openly about it. That so many artists have internet traction but can't attach it to anything and make monetized every corner of my world, every record. And it did. The tour for the first album grossed $50 million. There were hundreds, if not thousands, of people. Managers, promoters, media companies, tour assistants, people working security at the door when it gets big enough. That's exactly one of the factors that's destroyed any artist's life. Someone on our team is Hanson Coffey, Milner, Britney Spears, Michael Jackson. There are countless examples of people who have ended up losing everything for because in late 2011, he was still 17 years old, a new era began. He still had a boyish voice, he was still pretty fresh-faced, but to signal his style, got rid of the bowl cut. Basically, Justin Bieber was the record. More of a trip. Next album. Like a bunch of not that it was at all. Definitely wasn't designed for so after the when over had the most followed artist. Originally go out on the album goes to over 200.
너 마야 마마.
We're selling out Guatemala. Unbelievable. We're making enough revenue to fund. Let's not work with one team. On the third day of the concert, Justin stopped dancing and singing and have stumbled forward. Oh, turned out to be some right. After a 20-minute concert, just at a moment of hiccup progressed. But just how drastically his image was that 13 years old finally reached break. As far back as 2009, Justin had predicted that he would face more. Of course, I think that there are people waiting for the enemy, but I don't want to. While the belief you were represented. Matter. But rejected. Now, the breakdown wasn't gradual. It was if only he hadn't died. The day after he fainted on stage. Not long after that, months later, he surrendered. Fans were having a hard time. But why did Justin Bieber suddenly go from a happy birthday kid to singing? The world that was visible was so unreal. The world, everyone forgot what was waiting. No one, honestly. I don't think it's a coincidence that Justin ended up with a giant. For a long, aren't a lot of compelling reasons why we should have empathy for any rich man at all. You have to remember, the story I'm telling right now isn't the story that was. Back then, everything was red. I did it. You probably did it. But when we look back and see what he was going through, it paints the picture of a kid whose humanity was sacrificed for one, all while the whole world got to be just another spoiled. Whatever was going on. Worse. So in the end, they only bigger than ever before. Bieber Sports Studio out. By far the highest purpose, Justin using Mari better possible. This album is sick. Production was handled there's 3 PM on sound that created one of the iconic sound of the decade. Even though Justin didn't really back all guys most of what their purpose was such a success. As a dragon asshole, what does that really matter? Yeah, the purpose being Justin's was yeah, the tour also had it was the biggest album ever. Tour not the tour was also going to have a schedule. A lot of seasoned artists. Justin was set to perform. In a way, Bieber was a touring monster at this point. The pop country. Definitely. Still too big to fail. Then, in the middle of 2017, last like for $40 remaining 14 canceled the massive amount of manpower and money that would stop. But Justin's statement about why to prioritize development. Many artists got air. We've lost many great artists, but give Justin a thumbs up, realizing it was time to call it. He would get finally run out of physically and after 8 years of constantly being under pressure to perform, record, and play his part, he needed a break. In those 5 years, his first live performance happened. Hella, almost. Well, he wasn't completely gone. During this time, most of his definitely gave up the sentiment inside. First thing Justin did after his 5-year break at the purpose, before dropping another album, was to make a documentary covering why exactly he was making it. It was more than just some fluff art. It was a real detailed look at building life after the present. Now, nobody did see ads. Sometimes, just the series included a lot of comics. Talk about this expression. Far too much. Heard only work.
Come back here. Got super stoned. And then I realized I like weed a lot. That's when my desire to smoke started. That's when I realized that I just stopped. I don't think it's bad, it just makes you dependent. But yeah, first time I smoked weed, I was suggestive, but I was 13. Yeah, 13, going to 13.
The thing that was once a source of relaxation became a problem.
There was a time when I was football. My experience was
anxiety. That got so bad that body started coming.
because I felt like I was like bro, I was like, my security and stuff was coming.
Like people don't know how serious it is.
Like,
While he was struggling with good, he was then diagnosed with Lyme disease. Infected tick bacteria bite. Symptoms that are similar to a constant cause monitoring. In addition to the diagnosis with chronic Epstein-Barr virus, also known as chronic monitoring, while the virus typically only lasts a few weeks, it doesn't compromise the immune system negatively. The virus disrupted sleep patterns, triggered frequent headaches, compounded with his other health problems.
Arlington mono has that too.
That in itself, mono makes you really sick, and it makes people really tired, and some people can't get out of bed because of it.
He saw a psychiatrist in Los Angeles who diagnosed him with bipolar disorder and gave him lithium. Without ever looking at his brain, when I looked at his brain, bipolar,
Dealing with several chronic illnesses explained why he was so distant. Alone. For a lot of people who watch this documentary, their first time realizing that just years the media had profited so much from the story about them. The way that I told this story is that it doesn't think no one cared that for the public about it that it ever were around the world every day out here or any of that. The outside world viewed her as a cocky narcissistic bitch. No, that's eventually what he did. But was it because the money went to his head? Or was it because he was imagining a thing with like paparazzi chase him on the highway or sell his photos? Was it because his life was too easy? Was it because his life was hard? He started self-medicating and never taking drugs. Party animals, forced to live non-stop years in the outside world. Raise a lot of questions that had this is coming out 5 years ago. This was another big at one of Justin's biggest hits. The album sales equally best of half the first number purposely 5 years. It's still a pretty good piece. One year. What are we? This text was still the track. Wasn't quite as much as our second. Numbers reflected that. Of course, I didn't say all of it. Justin Bieber. Over a year, they're well. Were flashing off for as big as what he come back today. His fan base at this point is so big and dedicated. It's something that might have flopped compared to 9 billion Spotify streams went double platinum. Even right now, it's been 4 years since his last. No overheat. What is most recent? Still has more Instagram than like apps. Say that Justin had fallen off but still understand it. A lot of people thought that his art might not be good. But regardless of the kind of art what really matters is at this point in Justin's career, after your health better. Talked about the importance of therapy in helping him fix his life. At one point on Justice, he even touched on his childhood struggle. So after taking a couple of years off, the stress of a child been stolen by the spotlight, then coming back as a more positive, self-assured person with 2 albums that his fans love, getting married, finding a relationship with God. It seems like Justin mostly left the spotlight not on the right path. And so almost no one would have predicted that by 2025, we'd be more in the spotlight than ever, where the media continually speaks everything as his life seems almost to be unraveling worse than ever before with the whole watching. Even without releasing an album in 4 years and only appearing occasionally in just so good. Now it's for stuff that's almost personal. Not the signs that he's emotional, spiritually exhausted. About the signs that his life is falling apart, even after this after the marriage, his new era. Seems like things back. Actually, a couple of Justin's Instagram stories that I wrote were pretty exasperating. Slide said, "This is how I feel after everybody with us can help us do it. Just try to try a little. Not true. I listen to the fools when we work. There's no time to earn your spot." The past couple of years, numerous social media posts have seen talk about feeling I was always told when I was a kid not to hate. It made me feel like I wasn't allowed to have it, so I didn't tell it. I think that by hiding his emotions, he's left it. We let hate go by first acknowledging it's there. How could we feel hate all the hurt? Mental turmoil manifested itself physically. But it built on hollow-eyed higher appearance that led to people calling them and helping them around justice. First, it's louder than ever. Whoever paints the most enticing their personal life. Wild. Narrative is completely. In some cases, he's the only one taking time to keep his family. In other cases, he's involved. Sometimes they'll publish a post by as to his son. Other times, he'll provide his kids. Whatever it is, he's still the focal point for reality. Every single thing. The internet just expands, morbidly fascinated onlookers with the searching for it. It become obvious over time that Justin Bieber wasn't exactly true. So it didn't seem like too much of a leap as that Justin could have been convicted. Oh, nothing. This was seen as possibly having a hidden about sex all over the internet the last couple of years. You could find that as the charges. Surface, knowing that Justin had a relationship isn't surprising that people try to victimization. 2011 when getting into it seems like a pharmaceutical life now reads much different. During the interview, he didn't make content. And that Justin knows better than to talk about what
He got access to the house, and he knows better than me talking about things that he does when national television. Whatever the case might be, the entire situation around it feel undeniable dark the past couple of years. That part is, though, that you don't need conspiracy theories. You need justice. Reality is today, it's nothing if not obvious. The truth was devastatingly simple. While people searched for puppet masters and secret connections, her story had already played out in broad daylight. Young talent was pushed to its absolute limits by an entertainment machine that valued everything.
straightforward explanation is all. The music industry's exploitation of young stars really the business model, just how it works. This pattern that goes down for child stars doesn't happen in secret meetings. Only tour schedules, endless media, the paparazzi, forced to put on a happy face no matter what's said to them about maintaining real tragedy is that the entertainment industry consumed Justin's life. No matter what caused his pain, though, the problem is that Bieber is so big and even suffered. Even if he isn't making music, even if all he's doing is expressing his voice, even if he's gone from now, Justin seems like he's part of almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. But that only gives the media more content. One in a long line of entertainers who have become so big that the media will never leave them alone. Even if he goes into hiding or disappears from music forever, which he almost already has, he'll always be a subject. The last year or two, it's been some great people. Right? On a lot of all points to one depressing, horrifying fact. Legal executive and choose the big that way. I close doors you can help. Finances, faith in God, even his marriage, they were all supposed to be faith. No, you start to realize the problem is that never wasn't. 2018, Justin Bieber married Paul, model and his daughter is active. First, 3 months of pilot. They seemingly got engaged out of nowhere. Heard of exciting moments where she was seen multiple times without knowing him since the beginning. Whether or not that was true, though, it didn't stop marriage was circus. Their relationship, like everything else in Justin's life, was tied. Photos of them circulated online, but was still on. Kyle could look like her. TikTok's and conspiracy threads were spreading the idea for their relationship under really opened up about the situation. People have made me feel so bad. Saying it's hard to hate each other if they're getting bored. But people don't want to used to try and act like it hurts less and less. And I tried to think that you get used to it at a certain point. This realize that it doesn't do that. No, it didn't even husband would kind of marriage is supposed to be that's another spectrum. Obviously, this video isn't about Justin Bieber. But I think it's safe to have one. Justin Bieber's marriage other aspects of life that's been deeply life doesn't have anything back more blatant and forced. Hard to blame people for being involved with others and had no intention of that. Carl Lentz, the megachurch pastor from Hillsong, New York, that baptized Justin and served as his spiritual advisor, was fired from the church he worked at. Public information. During the time, after his life, all of it. Taylor has also been associated despite their success, founding their church that attracted many Gomez, the Kardashian family, and other educational services that family preachers. Over the years, the relationship with even officiated the wedding. However, it started to look like Judah's influence over Jeff's life may have grown far beyond what most people were pastors of spiritual leaders. Ryan Good, the co-founder, ended up leaving the company entirely when Justin brought Judas to the home. Church home eventually all the reports that ownership over his background. Away from his any related to his previous values and what purchase rehiring of the man who was previously sexuality. And of course, the issue above all is that churches like Hillsong and Church Home, they're kind of more similar to cults of personality, wrapping worshiping and selling spirituality like it's a lifestyle. Who all turn to the church for stability and guidance, the never-ending cycle of being watched. And the people who look for personal guidance using it as leverage put themselves in the spotlight. But another person that Justin got connected with at Church Home was Luke Taylor, an King's talent agent and board member at the church, then hired to work as his financial lead. He ended up firing her in 2024. Rumors are to be believed that only happened after she convinced him to alter the board. The last couple of years, there's been a big trend of older artists who are beyond their peak popularity selling off the rights to their music to private files. It makes sense. If you aren't making that much music anymore and you want to have enough money to leave your family an inheritance or to retire, why not take a cool $1 million every? It's usually a long-term deal that in most cases again, most of these sales have come from artists that are older, people who aren't really releasing new albums, and people that aren't trying to be working the long hours of a constant boy, Bob Dylan, David Bowie. These are some of the biggest examples of catalog sales. Most of it's people who are 60, 70 years old. They're quite shocked because Justin everything. Justin received over for the reason all of the music created drives rights to that music. The rights to Hero, Mark Ronson. But more than anything, he was kind of struggling. We're left wondering what made Justin make this big. Then the story of Taylor. She wasn't just any talent agent, this manager working in Hollywood. In fact, she was one of the people who was directly responsible for Britney Spears being placed under conservatorship back in 2000. The thing is that anyone who helps negotiate a catalog sale like this stands to earn a pretty huge history. It's plausible that she convinced Justin to sell his catalog, even if it was or wasn't her. So is it possible that someone who had a leadership role at Justin Church had experience brokering deals for sign away the rights to everything, get herself a quick 10% dollars? But either way, at least he now had enough money to last him a lifetime. Less pressure to create, tour, perform. He could sit back and take care of himself, or at least. But somehow, the story only gets worse from there. As it turned out, he in fact did not have enough money to last a lifetime, not even selling off the legacy. Turns out that Justin was only able to get half as much catalog that case, he never did. The deal that Peter Braun and Fletcher signed him into that was a 360 deal that gave Universal Music perpetual control. Justin could have himself. He did, but now he would never receive another penny from the Camel Gift. The other problem that his supposed comeback album, Changes Justice, only caused more financial complications. The Justice World Tour was planned to include Justin announced that he had been diagnosed with facial paralysis that prevented him from continuing. The issue is that Justin had a tour deal with AEG that secured him a $40 million advance for the 140-show run of the world. But since he only completed 35% of the shows, he owed them back $26 million for not being able to finish as planned. And with Justin never having owned his masters, that wasn't a source of revenue to rely on to help solve the problem. Not long after that, it was also revealed that Bieber owed Scooter Braun almost $10 million. So it was somewhat unsurprising that just a couple months after this in 2022, the entire catalog of the shocking quick deal seemed to have been both not entirely in his best interest, but also his last resort. Apparently, the situation was bad enough that he even passed up the opportunity for a tax credit that would have saved him millions of dollars if he had waited just 1 month to sell the catalog. That chose to sell it. It's surprising and disappointing to see that he really discovered ended up making more off Bieber's career than he did, and ends up at odds with him over his trust in people who were able to manage him properly, and then ending up with no ownership over his masters years later, having to sell what little he does own just to keep water. Meanwhile, people who signed him more money all from the field that he got into. So it begs the question, how did Justin Bieber get into this situation? Justin a victim? Run his own life into the ground? How did he end up where he is today? Obviously, Justin Bieber isn't an angel. He's made a lot of mistakes that he's self-centered, hurtful. In 2019, he posted pressure and responsibility. Emotions and frontal lobes aren't developed. Aren't doing pretty heavy drugs. Being distant. Not that he doesn't know what he did. It's not like he has no idea why the entire world is wrong, but ultimately, that's only one small part. The story of Justin Bieber is the story of someone being exploited by everyone around him, much as he his career generated over $1 million, and even though he was mainly the one person responsible for it altogether, he definitely got to live a lavish lifestyle and all the one, in the end, he was left with far less success. What it cost him as a person. So the story isn't about the fame. It's about the honor. He was thrown into the spotlight as a 13-year-old kid, almost all monetized by thousands of only politically controlled to rewrite a narrative to move on. He found himself fully embedded in this. I don't think it's crazy to say that he got picked out by the industry. Even if mistakes weren't just mistakes, they were everything. It's so big that even when he tries to hide, they find a way. Now, with the world watching the final stages of him falling apart, the weight of eyes still hasn't stopped. Full of fancy cars and a burden so heavy that you're growing up in Canada, Bieber signs to a major label. Despite him making relatively wholesome pop music, journalists, interviewers, and tabloids over-sexualize him and make a mockery of his persona, resulting in him becoming a joke. That creates a monster, not out of him, but of everyone else. Harassment campaigns, everything. does, no matter how recent the actual content was. Baby, his big breakout single, became the most viewed and the most disliked YouTube video at the same time. He's essentially working nonstop, touring, recording, promoting over and over. He gets so tired of the demanding schedule that he's hiding his own passport so he's not having to go back out on the road for the 1,000th time in a row. He stays positive. He talks about wanting to buy his mom a house, mentioning how growing up without money, he doesn't want to waste the opportunity to help his family. One point he says, I think people are waiting for the time to make a mistake. But eventually, he does. Begs the question, how much go? For every great thing of Justin Bieber, he is followed by another issue. Again, it makes what we often think of falling off look more like a blessing first. And we fall off. You get to live your own life, not be chased forever and ever by people who just ask successful entertainers might get to drive the G-Wagon. Your life is past a certain point, you might have it all, but at the same time, in a way, you have nothing. No right to privacy, no ability to make mistakes, no way to escape the constant pressure of new product. Some people, that's the dream, all they've ever wanted. And good for them. I don't support it, but that's your choice to make. The only problem is that Justin Bieber didn't get to make the choice. He didn't understand or know this is where it would go. He was a little kid signing a contract with a major record label, then go on to use him for decades. It's hard for us to imagine Justin Bieber, with all of his money and access, isn't happy. It's difficult to be empathetic towards that. He's a rich guy. Everyone loves him. Why would he have mental issues as a result of it? He could just go drive his Ferrari. But at the same time, by acting that way, we're becoming part of the problem. I think we all understand that buying a supercar and having a therapist is not People go insane if there are paparazzi chasing us on the highway, millions of people analyzing the inner dynamics of our marriage, having every moment of our lives turn into a Justin Bieber isn't a friend. He's just who it's happening to right. There's Michael Jackson, Amy Winehouse, three examples of people whose very existence was fed into a machine, fit out for content. It's don't stop, because right now it's still working as intended. I think that's what it means to sell your soul. Yes, you have everything you ever wanted, money, fame, it's all. But you lose the parts of yourself that you right to have your life. The saddest part of it all for Justin Bieber is he turned away his life at an age where he was too young to understand what he was giving. Time when he was a kid who was good at singing, a kid with natural rhythm. The biggest thought in his head was helping his mom buy a house. He didn't know it would cost him. Later, he's cursed to live the rest of his life in an empty, stressed, tired state of anxiety. Even worse, the people who are managers to his spiritual advisors, family has had unclear, allegedly selfish motives. Meanwhile, things for him have opened up. A reminder that we don't need conspiracies or hidden truths to everything that was done to Justin Bieber happened in broad daylight. And of course, they didn't even try to hide it. So what happened to Justin wasn't a mistake. I call it tragedy. They call business. Somehow, eventually, Bieber might find a way to live out the rest of his life. Look, this is Volkswagen. There's a documentary I've made that I want all of you to know about, but it was actually too much for me. The documentary I made about the history of violent music, all the raw footage included, bands that committed murder and burned down buildings open, performers that hurt the audience, as part of the show. I think it might be obvious why music is a Nebula original, funded by and exclusively available on Nebula. This is their mission to be the best. They gave me the resources to make that. Nebula is a platform I own and co-found. We elevate ourselves to level beyond what we're doing. Come together to create our own platform, and it's quickly becoming not our safe havens, not a place to hide from the rules, a place to grow and blossom. Nebula has produced originals like murder of John Lennon. Beautiful documentary, more and more of the straight story. They have more interesting shows like Depth Geopolitics Show, Modern Conflicts, or Jetlag, a game show that compares literal real world as the concept which is exciting and improving.
他看起来是那个开场嘛，采访。
别的白人那个小孩子。进来啊！2个月。这是我们。2个月之前去世了，你现在告诉我，他爸爸不是走了吗？
storytellers, you should join. You check out my show Danger Music or Jetlag or Valerie Manifesto and going to Nebula.tv. It's nice to I feel like it's only $30 per year in the news platform. After this is the most Nebula. Or think a lot of not just any project.
吃。
这是宝宝给你去世的啊？啊？怎么去世的呀？2个月之前被杀了。杀他爸爸干嘛呀？哦。哎，他爸爸和他们有关系吗？还是？妈妈。那就和他们有联系吗？对啊。说的对。干嘛呀？你刚刚说的不对呀。
Who are you speaking? Individually. Good night, Dad. Lovely girl. Let me know. Soy salad, lemon zest risotto, cucumber sliced into 2-inch diagonals, and eggs against sweet sprinkled with 7 leaves of parsley, shredded, not raw. Lionel. It is too of it out. Body. That's what I just said.
Alina, you too bad to play for the competition.
What?
Play for the biggest brother. Like, oh my God, the whole thing, so that's it.
Alina? You're beautiful now. You're not that beautiful. Yes, I am. Hoping you would say, kung nagsasabi na ka, bakit ang protection ni Kasama? Roma, una. 18 na namin.
I'm a human. I'm a human and I can't stop watching things on my phone that make me sad. And I wonder what that is. I'm a human and I disconnected myself from nature. Now I wonder why I have so much anxiety. I'm a human and I can't stop voting for colleagues who don't care about me. I'm a human. It's so true, right? I'm a human. I have real fat, but I can't stop eating poison. I knowingly participate in a society that is stifled by creativity and instead values consumption and commercialism and consumerism over community, and I feel trapped, even though I know I'm trapped, but I can't.
I'm gonna say, yeah, that part, you have to hear me out. Red.
Okay, yeah, right.
Red, thanks, guys, thanks.
Oil.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know, yes. Grind. One. Yes, it's gone. It's her, but she's doing it. It's her, but she's doing it. It's not impossible.
I can walk in my son.
We're doing a foster.
Why did you come here?
But you're a foster. Yeah, she's a foster. Yeah. Okay, I can do it. Right. Okay, come on.